Okay, hey lovers and friends. My love to you. Like I'm literally super hot. Like I want to show you. I'm hanging out near the beach. The beauty of where I am is that there is both a lagoon, so like a lake, and a beach over here, which is just like so cool. Like I love it so much. But yeah, I really want to talk to you guys about some of the changes I've been experiencing and why there's been so much like change, some of the things that you may even also run into when you're traveling. So a long time ago I published this book, something to show for it. I think you guys have seen it. I'm pretty sure you've seen me advertise it, or some of the commercials at least for it. And one of the most exciting times that I talked about was my time in La Punta in Puerto Escondido, and like I loved it so much. This was 5 years ago. Okay, let me say this again. Like, it was 5 years ago, and honestly, literally, so much has changed. Literally, so much has changed. Having Let's the go. Time of my life in Mazinte, everybody. I'm so in love. There's Romy.
Homeboy swag, yo,
Homeboy. And it is New Year's Eve, and I just want to show you what I'm around. Look at this cliff view. 300 and
that's our flag.
Great little view. How I wish you were here, but you're not. So
No.
I wish you all a really awesome 2016, and it was 2015 was one hell of a ride, man. It's been a long, strange trip, and emancipation was probably one of the biggest things I can remember, and that I'm truly taking with me in the future. And
kiss for now. Happy New
kisses
Year.
for now. Okay, we gotta go. Okay. Change. So let me get comfortable because I gotta cross my legs, you know. So it's been like, after my time in La Punta, mind you, I had been traveling all this time from I started in Guadalajara, then I went all the way to Puerto Vallarta and Sayulita, and all this time I was using something called couch surfing, which they've been experiencing some issues due to quarantine, but I really do support them. So if you guys want to, I recommend doing it. I'm still here, I'm still safe, you will be safe too. You have a mind of your own, so rebel and think for yourself. You will be safe if you stay with a stranger. So next thing, okay, so after this I just like loved this idea of like, oh my god, is this hostel? I was living in a house of Argentinians. This guy, his name is Memo, at this place called Zapotecas, right on the beach. So it was kind of like a tribe, it was kind of like a commune, and like that's like the vibe that is, you know, you're gonna get that kind of vibe. But little did I know, it was gonna be like one of the more challenging experiences. So I thought at first it was really fun. I actually began doing this a lot. I was volunteering. I did not pay a dime. I was like, oh, is that how this works? So yeah, you can travel the world. When I had no money. I had $200 in my pocket, and like at that time I had nothing. Like it was my birthday. I was on like GoFundMe, like, guys, please help me. So I began like traveling through different places. I usually seen Bacalar. I stayed with a friend when in Punta Allen. They had like a different, in Tulum. This was one of my favorite places until I started getting to Guatemala. And when I was in like Flores, and then I went to Lago Atilan, it just kind of, things started just edging up. And I noticed that even now in my experience traveling this period, after 5 years, so much has changed. Like I have changed as a woman. I did travel, and I wasn't sure what I was doing. I first began my journey asking God, and I wrote this in in my like first chapter. Once I got to Mexico, like I was sitting in a church, like, okay, Dios, estoy aquí. Like I'm here now, God. What do I do? You told me to come here. What am I supposed to do? And it was silent. So I just heard have fun, and now I'm in a different space, and it's not have fun. It's like it's different. Like the way I'm being talked to this season is very different from how I'd been talked to in previous seasons. So I that's something I have to note, that I as a woman have changed. I've changed. I have written a book. I like am more focused on money. I'm focused on like building assets. I'm focused on helping other people. How can I, do volunteer work or humanitarian work in a space that I absolutely love? How can I continue doing this? So this was the other thing. And the next is that, okay, like some of the travelers that I'm meeting this time, I find myself like I was in hotels, and I know I did post, oh my God, hostels. I really do support hostels. It is a really great place for you to go and meet people of other cultures. However, I do feel like when we are in hostels, it's very easy to get tied up in that kind of lifestyle where all of a sudden you're with all these other people and you're in the outside looking, you're in the inside, you're on your own inside world looking out. And we did this one thing and this and this, and that's really cool, but you're not truly throwing yourself into the culture. So here I am now, fast forward, and I'm just kind of like, and I noticed I was also getting really fed up with this in Vietnam, kind of the conversations I was having. And now that I'm like always in a space of talking about how can we do this, what can we build, what is humanity needing, how can we push people forward, these are things that I genuinely feel like, if we had these other conversations, I would like to talk about that. But, listening to people, and again, I have no problems with where these conversations are. I'm not doing this to complain. I'm just sharing that there are stages in life and stages in also traveling. So, I mean, just because like I'm using travel as another form of education, right? Teaching myself Spanish, teaching myself to surf, or pushing myself to different or through different boundaries, like and ways. How can I be able to grow? These are things that are really important for me, and just like moving forward. So a lot of the conversations are just kind of like a lot of kids who have money and they don't really know what they're doing every day. And that's okay. I feel like that was something I needed to take the time to just like sit and ask myself the same things. Like, what am I doing next? But I also saw that it was a lot of competitive nature. Like, I would just say, you know what, I'm kind of tired right now. I've been traveling for 9 months. Somebody else would be like, well, I've been traveling for 15. This is not a competition. Like, this is something I am truly traveling, and not just because I'm in Mexico or in Nigeria or Ghana or Vietnam or Thailand. It doesn't matter. I'm noticing like these are some of the patterns, and when this type of pattern comes up, I'm not so interested in like engaging in it. I find myself actually completely avoiding it. And like this wasn't even in the like types of people to avoid. And I just did a video on that. But so honestly, it was just kind of like, okay, how can I move forward? How can I like change things? So I got to Puerto Escondido, and Puerto was kind of like 5 years ago. It was amazing. Like, you got to know locals. You also had a mix of people who were tourists. And there was so many really cool places to just kind of like meet people and hang out with locals, travel, sit on the beach, and just really life is carefree. People could come from all over and just come and rent a space. And now the whole streets are just packed. It's very chaotic. It's very flashy. I feel like now that maybe like Mexico's new Bali is really, I feel like that. It's a lot of sex, surf, party, and not like in a very calm way. It's like too much. So I took a couple days. Oh, por favor, preséntame. Este es Alma. Hola, Alma.
Hola.
Este es de familia de YouTube.
¿Sí?
Es un video. Bienvenidos, ¿verdad?
Ya ves dónde me carga.
No hay gente, pero después yo upload
Sí,
para YouTube.
sí, gracias.
And so I come to this beautiful place. I'm like, oh my God, Chickawa. And my friend actually led me here. This really sweet, charming Southern man. And I was like, okay, this seems great. I'm going to take you all on a tour. And it's beautiful. Right here, I have a beach, and about, I don't know, 20 meters, okay, like maybe 30 feet away, I have a lagoon. And so it's just the best of both worlds. My house sits on a beach, and it's just quiet, it's tranquil, and it's a really good space to not really talk to a lot of people. Everyone here kind of like chills on a hammock. It's very laid back kind of life. And the bonus actually for me is that this is an African island. So there are so many descendants of Africans, so they call themselves Africanos Mexicanos. And so descendants of Africans are here, and kids play all over the place. They're running around naked. They play with like soda cans and marbles, and it's just kind of like it's the feeling I get when I go back home. And so this feeling is just like, why would I not want to stay there? And it just, everything seemed to just work out for me after my nights in Puerto, when I was like, okay, honestly, the vibration is not there for me. And I'm clapping my hands to make a point. Yeah, so that was it. There's a lot of competition with them. And although people are traveling, I know that they're also working on themselves. So, like, and I have to tell you this, they're all working on themselves. So everyone's working to either expand something about themselves, grow, change, realize something. And so it's a very different space. Some people are acting like they don't want to change, and a lot of times what things am I getting is racist conversations. And I'm just kind of like, sometimes I just don't want to be bothered with that. So again, I find that I only hang out with locals. I enjoy, practicing Espanol here. And I'm just like generally happier with a culture that, like, of people that like look like me. And there's a lot of Mexicanos here too. But there's a lot of Africanos and Mexicanos. And like, I'm just so happy about that. And it's a very natural, beautiful way of life here. And I feel that as I was like, you guys have been watching me, I started in Rosarito and then like have been traveling throughout. I didn't really make too much of a video in Puerto Escondido. I mean, the energy has just been like, it's been a lot. Like, really, I just told you what it was like. So I mean, from leaving Rosarito all the way to like Mexico City and then Oaxaca City, when I made that video about my experience in Worldwide Dream Builder. So, yeah, things here seem to work out. I was paying like 6,000 for an apartment in Puerto Escondido, and I love it so much. It had air conditioning, it had a big pool, and a place upstairs to hang out. And all the people that I met, we had met at very different times, and then we come together, and I'll meet them at one or two random parties, and I'll come together and I'll meet them. So when I found out that like a lot of them all lived in this same space, it was kind of like, oh wow, this is so cool. So that was nice. But like, since leaving Chicala and going there, I was like emotionally miserable, seriously, for days. I was gone for all of 2 days, and I recorded a video of me in this place I had to spend the night in, because I got here too late, and the only way you can get here is
Ya no le salió el otro recibo.
the only way you can get here is by boat. So I mean, that's kind of like the really cool way. You have to get here by boat, and then you take like a colectivo out from the lake here. So it's very remote. You don't really have a lot of internet. There's places that do have it. There's not a lot of phone reception, and it's a really nice place to disconnect. So I'm noticing not a lot of people are talking about politics at this time. I'm finding more locals are discussing COVID than the people who are traveling. So everyone who's talking about COVID is like, so what are you doing? And you all know how I feel about that. I feel that, you know, we can focus on that and be scared, or you can focus on other things and, you know, continue to ascend and focus on things that make us remind us that like of who our God is not. And it says that God didn't give us a spirit of fear, but a power of love and a sound mind. So when this whole COVID hoax or what excuse me, oh did I when this whole COVID situation happens and everyone's scared, that can't be something of God. So just remember that you can focus on all the other good things. And so that's what I'm noticing. A lot of people here, when I share that, that's, you know, it's a positive thing, then all of a sudden they're kind of like starting to change. So what is the situation like with this pandemic in Puerto? There's a lot of people in this space called La Punta. La Punta is like, that's the point of surf. And it's a really cool beach, and the next beach over is very commercial. So you see a lot of people kind of walking barefoot, just, you know, hanging out, surfing pretty big waves. Girls in bikinis, thongs, like sometimes topless, people spitting fire at sunset. And no one's really wearing masks, except there's police that come by, Policia Federal, and they'll drive by and they'll put their lights on, and then they'll tell people, hey, it's time, you gotta go. And so for that, only the business owners do that, because in order to stay in business, they have to have certain signs that let people know that they have to wear, they call it cubrebocas, it's obligatorio. That means it's required that you have to wear a mask. So it's just kind of like, I mean, it's all right. But here in this island of Chickawa, like, no one's really wearing masks. It's very relaxed. No one's really worried about anything. There's a woman that comes on maybe 2 or 3 times a day. She advertises on the lake, and she'll tell you everything you need to know, who's selling what the town meetings are, because it's a huge space of people that get to come together. And like, look how quiet and kind of calm. Like, it just so, I'm just so happy. It's like Africa. Like, so it's just kind of like that. There's news and stuff, and when you walk by, there's always somebody's birthday, and I just feel like this is the real Mexico. So yeah, some of the things that I've been noticing about the travelers here, not a lot of people are doing a whole bunch of work. Like, people aren't like you know, I'm not finding as many like-minded individuals as I would have maybe in other places. So for that, I mean, kind of cool. I guess it's okay. But I do notice that, like, I would want some kind of support a little bit in that way. But when I realize every time I go to a different place, I'm not able to just unplug. I mean, really, I can just sit on a hammock, and I can just read. And I have like 20 books I still want to get through, and many things I still have to do. And sitting alone and being quiet is really what makes me happiest. And this is a very nice environment, and it's a friendlier environment to be able to do that. And another thing I love about this place is there's just life everywhere. So if it's chickens running, you can hear them now. If it's chickens or dogs running around, or if it's fish in the lagoon where I just put my feet in and sleep, these are really cool. Like that's honestly what makes me very happy. So for now, it's a nice place to just disconnect. Even though I'm like connected, like uploading this, yeah, I don't know. But it's a really cool place for me to be able to disconnect and then connect again. And when I want to have friendships and get to know people in the village, I do. And I get to do theta healing on as many people as possible. It's a really great place for me to really focus on what it is that I'm you know, like the things I'm doing. So yeah, I just enjoy just reading and really taking time to myself. I mean, I feel like with the busyness of other places, it's so easy to get distracted. So I feel like this is like 13 videos in one, right? Like how to like continue nomading, what kind of people am I running into, the types of things that are like going on. But yeah, I mean, I like that people aren't really talking about that as much. And some of the things I'm getting is lots of questions. So it's really fun, and is pushing me to new heights and challenges where I feel like when I was kind of with backpackers and hostels, sometimes it's really nice. There really are deep connections here. Like, I do want to say that deep connections absolutely are and can be made here in a lot of hostels. Like, I mean, one of my best friends, I met her, but not in a hostel. Like, I was in a hostel, but we met in La Punta. So honestly, I really quite enjoyed it. And so that's it. Really, I'm just happy to be in a space where I am still plugging into local life. I'm still tapped into my own thing. I'm still very focused, and I just love it so much. So definitely, stay grounded, and I love you guys so much. God bless you, and just remember to stay in the light. Remember that a lot of times when things that we once loved start to change, it doesn't mean that we're not where something's wrong. I mean, we're ever expanding and our consciousness is ever evolving, right? And so things are always changing. And this is just a really interesting change that I noticed recently. Like, I noticed in Oaxaca, and also a bit in I noticed a bit in my hostel where I was staying in La Punta for a whole night in a bunk bed. It wasn't gonna work for me anymore. So at least in this stage, when I have so much going on, I can't quite. I mean, it's already my own energy, right? So. But when things start to change, and like maybe what you seem to like 5 years ago, maybe you don't seem to like now, that doesn't mean that something's wrong with it. It just means that you've grown. And I feel that even for someone who's nomading, there is so much joy in this. I've learned to put myself, as Esther Hicks calls it, in the vortex before I leave. So I was like, oh my goodness, there's this going on in Puerto, but I can't do that. I have to put myself in the good space, so that way it's not repeating itself when you go to the next space, and then the next space, and then we leave for the next space. And this is a very real thing. I feel like this can even be like a topic. This could be a whole video on its own, really. Like, the fact that we move so much, and it's because of this, it's because of this one thing. And knowing that even in nomading, and I'm like doing everything I can to ensure I'm growing, right? To not allow bad circumstances to hold me down. There's no, like, this pandemic, okay, great, I can still grow in this. I can still learn Espanol. I can still do other things and be productive, and make sure my mental health is in like good as well. So for all of that, I just noticed that I'm right now in this space. I'm just happier doing. I'm just happier doing my own thing in my own space. And so I wish you guys love and luck. And yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. If you like this, please share, subscribe, and like. I look forward to your comments too, because like I read them, and I'm like liking it. I'm liking what you guys have to say. I really do. Okay, bye. Oh, I forgot. So, and my friend made me a really nice treat. But I really want to take you guys on a tour. So, I'm gonna head to the next space, and you can come with me. Like, so what really happened was I went to work out with my friend in the morning because I need exercise in the morning. And then I ended up like, okay, let me just eat something. And I stayed there all day because like they have Wi-Fi over there, and who wouldn't want to do any sort of like Chloe Teen workout, you know what I'm saying, and share that, you know?